Come on, you got this, Good, good, good.
Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets, cause we know where we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocketeer and stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Promise that that's not a promise, yeah, that is a threat. You know that I'm
We are off to the physical therapist that I go to get a VO2 max test done, which for those of you who don't know, I think VO2 max is supposed to be a measure of like how much oxygen your muscles can take in while doing exercise, but generally VO2 max is just like it's good for the higher it is, generally speaking, it's better for you. If I remember / understand correctly, it's like 40 and below is like bad, like it is like you do not have a very good cardiovascular, and then probably around 50 is pretty, for people my age, is pretty good, and then you start going like 55, 60 plus and your VO2 max is like you probably run, like you are like a marathon runner or you're just very fit. So I'm very curious to see what number I get today, because I don't run besides pickleball, so hopefully it's not 45 and below, because that'd be kind of embarrassing.
What's your background? Do you run?
No, it's all pickleball. I mean, this year I started doing a lot more walking for some back pain I was dealing with, and then adding in like occasionally some very light jogging, probably around like 10-minute mile pace, just to like see how my back would hold up. And my VO2 max, I feel like at the start of this year, when I was doing none of that and I was sitting all the time besides pickleball, was like a 43, and now my watch claims it's at 50. So
okay.
It was a steady climb just from all the walking.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So let's get you hooked up here with the mask.
Okay.
And then I just want you to breathe out. I just want to make sure there's no air coming out from the side.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you about 10 seconds before the next stage starts what to expect, right? If you're cool with it, I'm also gonna like try to encourage you to do your best, right?
Totally.
So like, come on, Chris, like you got this, push, right? Kind of like that. If you're cool with that,
Yeah, totally.
I'll definitely do that. First stuff is just walking, right?
Yep.
So we're gonna start at 1.7. Here we go. So 1.7, we're doing this for 3 minutes. So this is a good time just to control your breath, kind of feel it out here. Come on now, this is where you set the bar, right? This is where you set the bar. Okay, 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bumping up incline and bumping up speed. Here we go, okay. Climbing Mount Everest here. You got this. Keep pumping. Try to stay as close to the front as you can. I'm here for you. Just grab me, let me know, give me the sign, and we can tone it down when you're ready, but I don't think that's anytime soon, right? Good. Come on. You got this. 10 seconds. Let me just bump up the speed. Yep. Stay in this stage as long as you can. 3, 2, 1. Come on. All you got. This is where you set the bar. Watch the string. Yep. Come on. You got this. Good. Yep. Okay. So kind of just rest, take it easy.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, if people frequently make it to the end of this,
Yeah.
that's just psychotic. I was like,
Yeah.
that was,
No. Not like I said, I've only seen one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
I was like, shoot, I'm going to be the one guy that can't make it to the end of this thing.
Yeah, no, you're great.
All right. What's your prediction? What's your score?
Oh, man. Dude, I don't even know. Well, you know what? I'm going to say 47. 47, that's my guess.
So these are your results.
Okay.
So the number of like, hey, if someone asks you what's your VO2 max score, you're like, well, what's the number I'm looking for?
Yep.
62.3.
That was mine?
Yeah.
62? That's crazy.
So what was your prediction? 50?
47.
47. Wow, yeah. So
Wow.
you said 28?
29.
29?
For age, yeah.
So males, 29. So you're right at the top of this level. So you're in the superior.
That's crazy.
He's gonna have a big head.
Go, I'll take it.
Hey,
that
good
far
work.
exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
Far exceeded.
Yeah.
All right, so this is my men's partner, Sergey. He is going to be my partner for the remainder of the year. The only tournament you won't see me play with him this year is the Virginia Beach PPA, which is the first one that we're going to. He just had a scheduling conflict and can't make it to that one. But otherwise, what you're seeing is one of our usual drill sessions. We usually drill a couple times a week. We often start out with just some dinking just to get warm. And then from there, we always go into hands. And it's always coordinated hands first. Usually, we'll both start in the kitchen and then we'll kind of do a figure 8 pattern. One of us will focus on only going cross court. The other one will only focus on going up the line. And then we will switch. And then after that, we usually start picking up the pace a little bit, and then we'll go outside of the kitchen and go full speed. But one thing we did decide to try differently this week, which was a video he saw on Instagram, was 2 people who put this band around their shoulders, just an exercise band that you would normally use for your legs, to try and keep your strokes more compact. I especially have a tendency to swing too big. And honestly, this worked way better than I was anticipating. Like, I was kind of skeptical at first, but after doing it, I think I'm going to do this even more because my strokes became more compact and everything about it just felt way better.
I feel like Did you snap yourself?
Yes, I trying to like adjust a little bit and then it's like slip, you know? Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, speed, baby.
That was fun.
That was fun. Dude, that feels way better. 3-1. There's no way I lose the hands battle. After that forehand, how do I lose?
No.
Now, for those of you out there who have someone who you can regularly drill with, one thing I would highly recommend you do is not waste your time doing what a lot of people do when they drill, which is they just go through the motions. You start warming up with some dinking, then maybe you go into some hands, then maybe you do some mid-court resets, then some drops, and then you just play some skinny singles or 7-11. Now, while I don't think that's a total waste of time, I think that absolutely has value and those are all things people should work on. One thing we specifically do when we drill is we come in with 2 or 3 things that each of us really want to work on. And with including warm-up, that usually gets us through an hour to an hour and a half with one skinny singles game at the end. But coming in with a specific thing, I think is a much better use of time. And also it allows both of you to be more greedy, if you want to call it that. So let's say there's a drill where he just needs the ball to be fed to him. Well, okay, I just know that for this drill, I'm going to be the feeder. I might not get anything out of it, but I know immediately after this, I'm also going to get to do the thing that I want to work on. I think a lot of times people are afraid of wasting other people's times and making them do stuff like this, but I honestly think both of you will improve much faster if you take this approach and you come in with a plan of what you want to drill instead of showing up and just going, what do you want to work on today? You just want to drill hands, I guess. So one of the things I really tried to work on during this training block was my counter punches at the net, particularly when someone is hitting a third shot drive, because I just feel like I've still never been that awesome at this shot, and people who are great bangers tend to take advantage of that. I had one day where we were drilling, and honestly, I thought I was doing great. I was like, you know what? My counter punches feel great. The blocks feel awesome. And then I went back and watched the footage. And as you can see here, my swing is way too big. I take the paddle just a little too far back. Then I swing too big. And at the end of the swing, I'm breaking my wrist. And I assume this was me trying to get more power on it. But on a punch volley, you don't need to swing this big. So immediately after seeing this, I pretty much knew what I needed to fix. If you watch the form from before and after, it's a night and day difference. You should be much more compact on this shot than what I was before. And so seriously, guys, I would not underestimate the power of filming yourself. I didn't have to go watch a video to even figure out what to fix. I just looked at my form and went, there's no way that's right. That's way too big of a swing for what this shot is. And then I was able to make some simple corrections.
No.
No!
Yes.
Shit.
All right, I gotta make this harder for you. The carbon's not enough. I gotta bring out the real weapon, the boomstick.
Ah!
That was good though.
Oh, wow.
Sorry. No way. Yes.
Now, one of the other things that I tried to work on during this training block was putting away balls, particularly balls that are about shoulder height. They're not quite an overhead, but they're definitely a ball that you should probably be able to put away. And so Isaac actually pointed out, which is my younger brother, who has the higher DUPR of us, that when I am doing this shot, I'm often just taking my paddle back way too far and taking too big of a swing. He was like, if you just keep the paddle more in front of you and then swing through really quick, he's like, the consistency should go up and your power will be about the same. And if you compare Isaac, and he generates even more power than I do, you can see that he does a very good job of keeping the paddle in front of him through pretty much the entire swing. And once I made the switch and I was aware of this and I just tried keeping the paddle more in front of me, the consistency went up, and honestly, I really didn't even notice a drop in power. So again, this kind of just goes to show you, like most things in pickleball, that more compact is almost always going to be better. Now, this is something I feel like I haven't implemented into games very well yet, but I'm hoping that over the coming weeks that'll happen.
Fumble a bag, now I will not fumble a bag. Fumble a bag, now I will not fumble a bag. Act like you know how this goes.
So one of the things I want to talk about is just related to health, because this has kind of been a really huge thing for me the last 2 weeks since starting this series. If any of you have followed my channel closely, or you're on my Instagram or my newsletter, you've probably heard me talk about my back pain. So about 2 years ago, I was at a clinic with Pickleball Will, and the day before the clinic, we were playing pickleball, and I think I was just really sore, and I went for a ball and I just felt like something in my lower back go out. And it was very painful to lay down. It was very painful to stand up, but like I couldn't put a lot of weight on one leg. I was like holding on my thigh when I was in the middle of a point. Like it wasn't good. And then eventually, a week before a tournament, I was training and I could tell I was sore, I could tell I was tired, but I played through it and I felt my back do the same thing again. But this time it was even worse than the last time. I felt so bad. I immediately stopped play. I left the session. I went home and I laid on the couch. And I was like, I'm just gonna lay here for a minute and kind of let this pass. And it didn't pass. In fact, it became so tight that laying on my back and rolling onto my side put me in excruciating pain. Like I can't express how painful or how difficult it was literally just to roll over on my side. And this went for well over a week. I had to drop out of a tournament. It was very frustrating. I didn't know what was going on. All I knew is I was in a lot of pain and it was very hard to do basic functions like walking. This is when I started looking into different things online, like what's wrong with my back. I bought this book from a guy named Dr. Stuart McGill. It's a very popular book called Back Mechanic. And there's a lot of great advice in there. And I tried some stuff in there and it helped a little bit. Then I went to a tournament, had another flare up in the middle of the tournament. This cycle continued on and on and on until very recently. Eventually I got fed up enough that I went to physical therapy. And if there's anything you guys should take away from what I'm about to tell you in these stories, is that if you have a nagging injury, plantar fasciitis, tennis elbow, wrist issues, back issues, shoulder issues, go to physical therapy. Find a good physical therapy and just go. I promise you, it'll probably be some of the best money that you spend trying to mitigate these issues. Instead of wasting 2 years myself, I could have probably spent a year or less with these issues had I just gone to physical therapy. So anyways, the first time I went to physical therapy, they were like, yeah, you have extremely weak glutes and very weak core. The test they gave me, I failed miserably, especially the glute one. It was actually embarrassing how miserably I failed that test. And so they gave me a handful of exercises to work on my glute and my core. I did those for a while, still kind of had issues, but I wasn't very consistent. And that's one of the things you guys really need to understand is that if you're gonna do physical therapy and they give you exercises, you need to do them as much as they tell you, if not a little bit more. I got to a point where I got pretty decent, stopped doing them, got hurt again. And I would repeat this cycle over and over. And the thing that I took away from finally getting to a point where I feel good is you don't stop when you feel good. That's almost when you double down, is when you feel good, so that you can finally get rid of this issue once and for all. Like, that was one of my biggest issues, is thinking I was fixed when I really wasn't. So I'm not gonna try and give you guys the cure for your back pain in this, because everyone's back pain is different. Do your own research, but here are some recommendations that I would give you. One, look into some glute exercises, particularly the glute medius, because for me that was very weak. Also your core. The book Back Mechanic has some great core exercises. You can even find them online. They're called the Big McGill 3. And I'm gonna tell you right now, those exercises look very easy and they look like they would do nothing. Especially if you're someone who goes to the gym, you're gonna look at these and go, that's not gonna do anything for me. Because that's exactly what I thought, and that's where my ego got me into trouble. While it may seem like these are not that helpful, compounding them over time with consistency yields very good results. And on top of the Big McGill 3, I did things like regular planks, as well as dead bugs, not your traditional core exercises that everyone thinks of, like abs, doing crunches or twists. If you have lower back pain, you probably know that those don't feel very good. So I found that there's a difference between training your abs and training your core. The next thing, and this is something I underestimated the power of for a very long time, but when I finally got extremely desperate, which was about 4 months ago at this point, one of the things that was talked about in the book Back Mechanic was walking, and how walking is very helpful for back pain. And I sat there and thought, this can't be that helpful. There's just no way walking is going to help the pain that I am in. But I finally got desperate enough and said, okay, I'm gonna listen. And in the book, the recommendation is doing 3 walks a day, 15 to 30 minute walks, whatever your back can tolerate. And so I was like, okay, I'll do one in the morning, I'll do it lunch and evening. So I set my step goal count to be 10,000 steps every day, which eventually kind of turned into 15,000 steps. And this, after a month, yielded such improvement that I almost couldn't believe it. I'm not gonna pretend like walking is gonna be the end all be all for everyone, but I think a lot of people in America could probably benefit from more walking. I got so obsessed with increasing my step count that I actually bought an indoor walking pad that I can put under my desk and walk while I do work, because some of my problem that I realized is I just sat too much during the day. I sat for a large portion of my day when I'm writing scripts or editing videos, and then I would go play pickleball, come home, not stretch, and then sit on the couch for the rest of the evening. So my sitting hours were probably 9 or 10 hours a day of non-movement, and that's just insane. So I'd highly recommend just getting more movement that is not violent movement on the pickleball court. But anyways, this has kind of turned into a longer story than I wanted it to be, but as of the last 2 weeks, I have experienced the least amount of back pain that I have in 2 years. In fact, I forgot that I could feel this normal. Like, the back pain had become so normal for me that I don't think I remembered what being able to play pickleball or even just move around life freely was like. And some of that has come with the addition of other things that I think are really important and that pickleball players should specifically take away from this. I know that everyone says you should stretch. And if you're anything like me, you probably heard that, especially if you're younger. For sure if you're younger, because for whatever reason, young people just have these egos of like, we're invincible. And that's what I thought until I was hurt really badly. But seriously, stretching is very important. And there's 2 types of stretching. There's dynamic stretching, which is what you should do before you get on the pickleball court. Ever since physical therapy, I've been very good about doing a dynamic warm-up before I get on the court. And these are just movements where you're moving and stretching at the same time. You're not holding a static stretch, like trying to touch your toes and holding that for 30 seconds. You're doing things like lunges or putting a band around your leg and doing lateral walks. There's a lot of different dynamic warm-ups. If you watch some tennis videos about dynamic warm-ups, you'll find plenty of things that are plenty applicable to pickleball. But that's the first thing I would say, is everyone should do that. It just gets your body primed and ready before you play pickleball. And now for me, I will always show up 10 to 15 minutes early and make sure I get those stretches in. It is a non-negotiable for me to play pickleball. I have to do that if I want to play. Now the second thing is, which is what took me a lot longer to realize that I should be doing, is stretching after I play. And now I went through phases where I would do this more or less, but it was always way after playing. So I would finish playing pickleball, I'd talk for 20 minutes, then I'd go home, I'd make dinner, then I would go shower, and then if I remembered, I would stretch. But that's probably 2 hours after playing, and at that point, your muscles have already tightened up. I'm not gonna say it's pointless, you should probably still stretch, but even better I have found is stretching within 20 to 30 minutes of finishing pickleball. I have had days where I was able to play 2 times. I would drill for 2 hours and then play games for 2 hours. And now keep in mind, I have basically not done that for a year and a half. Maybe here and there when I really had to do it, but I would pay the price so severely the next day that it never felt worth it. The last 2 weeks, I have done that many times and my body has felt completely fine. In fact, I would wake up expecting to be in severe pain and walk around and be like, oh man, like I feel great. Like I could go get on a pickleball court right now. So after experiencing that, I am just amazed that it makes that big of a difference. I was expecting maybe a 10, 20% difference, but I would say it's as large as a 50 to 75% increase in how much better I feel the next day if I remember to stretch. And now I'm not gonna go over my stretch routine because I think everyone's a little bit different. You should find what works for you, and I'm still developing it myself. But just make sure you stretch your big muscle groups. Stretch your calves, stretch your hamstrings, your lower back, your upper back, your hips. The hips have actually been a really big thing for me. I had never experienced hip pain, and then I eventually realized that was kind of contributing to my back pain. And since working on my hip mobility, that has made a really large difference for me. For all my stretches, I usually do 2 or 3 rounds of each stretch, and I will hold them for at minimum 30 seconds and then move on to the next one. And then obviously there's other things, right? There's hydration, there's nutrition. I'm not gonna get into all of that here, but those are things I have been actively improving. And again, all of it has compounded the last 2 weeks for me to feel better than I have ever felt. And as someone who had been in a lot of pain and pickleball was more limiting than I wanted it to be, I can't tell you how good it feels to feel the way that I do right now. So yeah, there you go. That's kind of my story of some stuff that I've been working on and my recommendation for you guys. Do your own research. It's well worth it. I promise you, if you want longevity playing pickleball, or you're even trying to do something like me, you want to hit 5-0, or you want to go to qualifier, or maybe you want to hit any level, taking your health more serious is pretty much always going to be a benefit, especially for the longevity of your life.